comes to selecting a site for your chosen water feature, your homeowner will more than likely have an idea of where they want to place it. It's your job to help them decide if that's really the best location. You'll need to consider how level the site is. You don't want it to be getting a lot of runoff from the rest of the property. You should also note how much sunlight it gets, what trees are shading all or part of the location. In fact, you should take a look at all the surrounding landscape. How natural will the water feature look in that area? And most importantly, you'll want the homeowners to think about how interactive the site will be. Look at the site from all angles, including from home interiors. Is the water feature site close enough to areas already designated for sitting, entertaining, and just enjoying the view? It's time to size your water feature. You'll want to encourage the homeowners to make the pond as large as possible for two reasons. First, the number one request that landscapers get regarding water features is to come back and make it bigger. It's always more economical to put in a larger pond than it is to put in a small one and increase its size later. Second, larger bodies of water require less maintenance. At 1,000 gallons, Mother Nature starts helping the pond owner out, creating natural biological systems in the water so the pond is much easier to maintain. Make sure you plan the pond deep enough for fish to survive the winter in your area. Where this pond is being installed, the right depth for fish safety in the winter is 24 inches. That's pretty much the minimum depth you'd use anywhere, even without fish. Head north, and you'll want to dig to 36 inches or deeper to keep fish safe over winter. Once you have the shape decided, it's time to measure. And use the formula to determine how many gallons it will hold. Make adjustments if necessary to meet your homeowner's goals for size. Once it's all planned out, be sure to take some reference photos, just in case the garden hose is moved before you return for the installation. Size the pump based on gallon size of the pond for filtration or width of a stream. Size the skimmers and biological waterfall filters based on the flow rate of your pump. Piping size also should be based on the flow rate, not the discharge of the pump. Using improper plumbing sizes can result in reduced flow. For the liner, there's a simple formula to use. Length of the pond plus twice the depth plus 2 extra feet equals liner length. Width of the pond plus twice the depth plus 2 extra feet equals liner width. The underlayment measurement is the same, plus an extra 10 to 25% to help pad rocks. As with any project, you'll need to check building codes and have local public utility companies mark lines so you can dig safely. You also need to hire an electrician to run power to the site for the pump, lighting, a de-icer, and so on. You'll need either a 110 or 220 volt dedicated circuit, depending on your pump. Don't forget to calculate the power you will need to run lights, heat, or other elements. You may need a second dedicated circuit for that. The tools you need are the same basic tools you'd use on most of your landscape installations. These include a square-nosed spade, a round-tip spade, pruning tools to cut roots, a tape measure, 4-foot carpenter's level, utility knife, and a hole saw and drill. You'll also need a screwdriver, an ice pick or awl, pipe wrench, pipe cutter and glue, and a can of spray paint. First, mark the outline of the pond with spray paint. Next, position your biological waterfall filter box so you'll know where to place excavated dirt. By the way, a good rule of thumb for flat areas is that the top edge of the waterfall unit should be no higher than the total depth of your water feature. Anything higher and it will look unnatural. We're using the natural slope here, which lets us go a little higher. You might want to use a layer of cinder blocks in front of the falls as an understructure for decorative rocks. That will add stability. Set the skimmer box opposite of the falls. Keep in mind that if you have a lot of trees overhead, or if you install more than one biological waterfall filter, you may need more than one skimmer unit. One nice thing about Little Giant biological waterfall filters, there are 4 hole options, so you can locate the plumbing exactly where you need it. We also like flexible pipe grommets because it makes plumbing the falls so easy. You simply insert the grommet in the hole, lube the pipe, and insert the pipe about 3 inches into the falls unit. If you're installing a backflush kit, do that now. following the same general steps. Then, set the falls in place. We always place a heavy rock or cinder block inside the unit to keep it stable while we backfill around it. Now, make sure the falls box is level from right to left. From front to back, the unit should be tipped slightly forward. As you backfill, make sure you don't fill above the liner connection area because you'll need to attach the liner later. This site is newer construction, so we don't have any sod to deal with. Ordinarily, we would remove the sod and save it to use for patching up turf after the water feature is installed. Once any sod is removed, the easiest way to dig out the pond is to start by digging the entire area down 8 inches. That's the standard height of a shovel head, by the way. Then dig a hole for the skimmer box. When you get to the skimmer unit, you'll have to drill the holes for the discharge and bottom drain if you're installing one. Be sure to drill on the correct sides and make sure you drill the right sized hole. A 2-inch bulkhead needs a 3-inch hole. You'll want the top of the box to be at grade and level. Now make sure your skimmer unit is set and level. It should be perfectly level from both directions. We recommend creating scalloped plateaus. That will give you a nice, stable surface to work with. Dig out your second level, also at 8 inches deep. And then outline your next series of scalloped plateaus. Continue until you've reached your final depth. Use the dirt to create a gentle slope around the back of the biological filter waterfalls box. Either way, we always recommend making a gentle berm around our waterfall box. Place a large rock inside the skimmer to hold it in place as you backfill. Leave room on the bottom drain side for installation. Now you need to mark the water level. A string level or laser transit is set at the right height. Then spray paint is used to mark the level all the way around. Once you clean the substrate of all foreign objects, sharp rocks, and roots, you're ready to start lining the pond. Last, you'll want to dig a trench about 24 inches away from the outer edge of the pond for burying the pipe. Before we backfill this trench, we're going to install 2 extra filtration systems that will help keep this pond and its plants and fish healthy. Vary your stream width and direction for a natural look. You can also add small pools in the stream for varied interest points and planting pockets. The underlayment goes in next. Smooth it carefully and trim the excess to use under sharp edges of decorative rocks later on. The stream underlayment is installed the same way. Cut it as needed to remove excess material and fit your contours. Make sure to fit it into the nooks and spaces because that makes rock placement easier. The liner will go in pretty much the same way. Little Giant liners are made by Firestone with durable, puncture-resistant EPDM material. They're really flexible, so they go in easily. Plus, they're UV resistant, so they last a long time. In fact, these liners carry a 20-year warranty by Firestone. They're safe for all aquatic life, too. Now, this homeowner wanted their waterfall set back a short distance from the pond. The water comes down a small stream, about 15 feet long. So we'll need a second liner for the stream, and we'll have to either seam them or overlap them for a watertight seal. Seaming only works well if the 2 liners are absolutely clean. Many times, overlapping is just easier. Simply overlap the 2 liners until you've achieved 1 vertical foot. That will prevent the water from wicking up between the 2 liners. The amount of liner that you overlap depends on the slope you are working with. The less slope you have, the more liner you need to overlap. In this case, we're overlapping about 3.5 feet horizontally to get our 1 vertical foot. Now, let's get that biological waterfall filter unit installed. First, attach the liner. Little Giant's design is easier because you won't be using numerous screws or silicone here. Just gather up some of the liner into an S-fold, slip on the durable stainless steel ring, and tighten. The S-fold provides a little excess liner in case of settling. Once the liner is attached, cut off any excess material below the lip and around the edge. Next, we need to attach the liner between the skimmer and faceplate. Begin by removing the faceplate from the skimmer. Keep all the components nearby because you'll be reinstalling them soon. Pull up the liner, but create an S-fold at the bottom. That way, if any settling occurs, it will pull out that excess liner instead of ripping the liner out of the skimmer itself. To attach the liner to the faceplate of the skimmer, you'll want to use a lot of silicone for a good, long-lasting seal. Attach the liner to the skimmer box, making sure you get that good seal with the silicone. Use the clips that are included to secure it. Feeling for the faceplate opening, use a utility knife to slash an X in the liner. Then push the faceplate in the unit. An awl or ice pick will help you poke holes in the liner through the pre-drilled faceplate. Don't skip this step. A screw will tear the liner and ruin that nice watertight seal you've created with silicone. Beginning with the corners and alternating from side to side and top to bottom, screw the faceplate securely into place. The only trimming you'll have to do is that top flap of liner hanging down over the faceplate. The other flaps are out of the way and won't interfere with skimmer operation. Now, install the pump. Little Giant makes adding the discharge valve exiting the skimmer easy because all the components you need are included in one kit. When that's done, attach the pipe that goes up to the waterfalls unit. We're using a rubber coupling for this installation. If you use a bulkhead, just tighten it to the point where the rubber bulges out a bit, maybe 1 or 2 turns with a pipe wrench. We're also adding a low-level shutoff switch, which protects the pumps if the water level gets too low for some reason. Now we need to install the autofill. Drill a hole near the top, at the back of the skimmer, out of the way of the discharge plumbing. Attach the float valve the same way you would attach a bulkhead. Install the appropriate fittings for connection to the water supply. Little Giant provides barbed, glue, and hose fittings to choose from. Now, finish the skimmer installation. Filter pads are optional for the skimmer, but for a homeowner who wants minimal maintenance, they are a great idea. Next, insert the brushes. The net goes in last by the door. Don't forget the lid. While lids are optional on a waterfall filtration unit, they're important to use with skimmers. No need to make your skimmers work harder than they already have to. UV light filtration is still relatively new to water features, but it works great. Nothing eliminates green water quicker. If your homeowner intends to raise fish in their pond, UV filtration is a smart idea, especially with those expensive koi. Just cut the pipe that runs between the skimmers and the falls, plumb in the unit, and plug it in.